You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Didn't you coach Burt Reynolds?
Yes, I did.
Was he any good?
He was a defensive back.
I know. Was he any good, I said?
103.9 FM LI News Radio presents The Weekend Crunch with Errol Marks and Josh Silverberg.
Hello, Long Island, New York, and around the country. This is The Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joshua Silverberg, and on the board, as always, Mr. Swollen Man Petey. Remember, you can listen to us every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time, only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports E-Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We had a great show all week at the Loudmouths. If anybody hasn't heard the Sports Loudmouths, you could check us out at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You can go to our website, worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app, iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Check it out. We have a great show, and me, Speedy, and Josh give you our insight. It's a 2-hour show on Wednesday. It's a 3-hour show on Thursday. We have a great show lined up and really good content. A lot of good fans call the show. Back and forth sports banter, which everybody loves. So if you haven't checked it out, it's a great show. And we're on iRadio USA right now. It's a new network. He's a famous magician who started this network with Eric Koppelman and his brothers, and that is Chris Angel. And it's iRadio USA, and we're a part of the network now. So I'm very, very excited. So if you guys love sports, you love media, and you want to listen to a show that is not afraid of attacking sports fans and really attacking each other, well, you can listen to the Sports Loudmouths. Mr. Joshua Silverberg, what's going on, man?
I'm doing well, man. Can't complain. Another week in the books, right? It feels like a blur with all the shows we've done together and everything like that. And the ride's just getting started with doing all this. Well, we've done the Weekend Crunch, but now we've expanded our horizons, as they say, adding myself to that show, which you and Speedy have done for a long time and a very good job doing it for a long time. And I appreciate you adding me on. It's a pleasure. Obviously, to the fan standards, I'm still working up to them, still trying to get settled in with them a little bit. I mean, I think it was 3 comments in a row where I got grabbed on. Even when I agree with them, I don't win. So I'm at that point where I'm just
Isn't that media? Isn't that sports?
That's sports and that's media. And when you're in this business, you got to have a thick skin. And if you don't belong in it. And you know what? I just laugh now and I just think back. I think about it like what some of the fans said. I think it's funny. I like being that guy because it gets a reaction.
And Speedy, sometimes I wonder, you obviously don't know certain words that I bring up. You think that they're made up words. But besides that, how are you? And are you looking forward to our new show on iRadio USA and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network?
Absolutely. I thank you to everyone at iRadio USA. When Errol called me Monday night, I think it was, to tell me about that, he was very excited. He told me about Chris Angel and his network and his background and all that, and it was very exciting. So thank you to everybody at iRadio USA, and thanks for bringing us on your network, and we fully embrace every single bit of it.
Well, we definitely are going to get into a lot of New York sports today. This is a New York station, and we're going to get into the Jets. We'll talk a little bit about the Giants and what they should do at number 11. I know a lot of Giant fans are kind of questioning Gettleman. Is Gettleman the right guy to make the moves? And some of them have been really good moves, and some of them have been something that you would probably question. But the story right now here in New York is Sam Darnold. Is Sam Darnold going to get traded? Do the Jets want to lean on Sam Darnold moving forward? And the answer is no. Sam Darnold is now a Carolina Panther, and over the last really 2 or 3 weeks, it was kind of starting to come out that the Jets, after the pro day of Zach Wilson, it was going to be Zach Wilson. Joe Douglas does not trust that Sam Darnold is the future of this organization. Some analysts have come out and said that they stand behind Sam Darnold. Some have said Sam Darnold is a washed-up young quarterback that's been beaten up with 2 coaches, 3 offensive coordinators in almost 3 years. And now you look at the objective here is finding the quarterback that's going to fill in the spot, that's going to take the Jets to the promised land. That is the question that only the New York Jets and Woody Johnson and Christopher Johnson can answer. But in the big picture right now and where they are going as a whole, Sam Darnold had to go. And Sam Darnold said some very interesting things at his press conference. And guys, I want you to hear in his voice how upset he was when he found out and Joe Douglas reached out to him and said that he was going to get traded.
I think for me, anytime, you go somewhere and you set, like I said before, you set lofty goals, and those goals aren't met, that's always tough for me. When I heard the news that they wanted to trade me, it was tough. Anytime you're not wanted somewhere, that's always, a tough pill to swallow. But then it was the opposite feeling. You go from being unwanted, and then all of a sudden, the people in Carolina, wanted me and obviously traded for me, and you go from being unwanted to wanted. And, I think that was just, when the trade went down, obviously, like I said, things didn't work out the way that I wanted in New York, but I was just so excited for a fresh start and new opportunities.
You heard what he said. He was really, really upset that he was going to get traded out from New York. He thought he was going to be there for 20 years. And that's what you want to hear from a quarterback, a young quarterback that really was excited to come to New York and really show his talents on center stage with New York fans that really have been troubled with the quarterback position year in and year out for almost 50 years since Joe Namath. So now you hear Sam Darnold. He says then he was excited when he heard that he was wanted again because the Carolina Panthers made the trade, gave up a 6th this year, a 2nd and a 4th next year, and the Jets move on. And now they're looking at Zach Wilson as the future quarterback of this organization. And now they could set the time clock for the quarterback position where you can hold on to a quarterback for 5 years before you have to pay him. So, Josh, what did you think after that press conference on what Sam Darnold said, coming out and saying that he was upset that he wasn't going to be a New York Jet for the rest of his career?
You feel bad for it, don't you? Because you hear it in the sound of his voice. He's disappointed. He feels like he let people down. He let himself down. He felt, like you said, he was going to get settled in for 20 years, win a bunch of Super Bowls. He wanted to embrace and take on the challenge of being the New York Jets quarterback, which, let's be realistic, being the New York Jets quarterback in this league is a very tough job. It's not as tough as, say, like other jobs like the quarterback of the Cowboys, but it's still a very tough job because the Jets haven't been able to find one since Joe Namath. I mean, we've had some good, adequate quarterbacks here. I mean, we've had some good quarterbacks here. Chad Pennington here, Mark Sanchez got to a couple of AFC championship games, had some flashes. Ken O'Brien was another one that had some very good years. Unfortunately, he was just in the same draft as Dan Marino. Of course, Brett Favre, that team was, I think, 7-1 at one point. They just beat an undefeated Titans team, and he had a shoulder injury. He never told anybody in the organization about it because he wanted to continue his streak of playing games, and he didn't want it to ruin it, and it let the team down, and they collapsed because if Favre was healthy, that team probably would have been one of the best teams going into the playoffs, especially with Brady out for the year from the injury with Castle. So to take on that challenge and embrace it is a situation that Sam sounded like and wanted to take it on. I hope the best for Sam, and I hope he can succeed. Do I think he will succeed? Time will tell. Is Zach Wilson going to be a great quarterback? We don't know. Is Sam Darnold going to be unbelievable in Carolina? Nobody knows this. We can't tell the future. I mean, if we could, we would know who to pick a quarterback then, right? It would be so simple. Everybody could do it. It's just a matter of, with the way the Jets did it, and not just the NFL, but in sports, when it's not the player you drafted, therefore, you don't want that to be the credit taken away from you. You want to be able to pick and take your own player, and therefore you have that credit stamped to you because you are the genius in the room rather than taking on somebody else's pick and somebody giving that other person the credit. So I think it's almost like an ego thing. But in the other sense, it's also Joe Douglas saying, look, if Sam stinks and the draft class the next couple of years isn't good, and that's a $25 million option we have to pay him, and there's no good quarterbacks coming out in the draft, we're seriously screwed. We have no alternative now. We have no plan B, no plan C. We don't know what to do at this point. Now we're stuck in an island. So the Jets felt like this was going to be the year where they could take the quarterback and really start fresh and start on a rookie contract and be able to help the salary cap situation. The Jets are still in a very good salary cap situation despite all the additions they've had. I mean, Joe Douglas is very good at doing contracts for players. You're hoping Zach Wilson is the guy. I think the thing that's going to lighten it up a little bit is now the reports coming out today is that it's all but a lock now that the 49ers are indeed going to take Justin Fields at the number 3 overall pick in the draft. And
are you surprised? I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not surprised, and I think you'll be happy because now you don't have to see if Justin Fields succeeds.
Come on, I'd be happy. You want to see Justin Fields twice a year? Come on. No Jet fan wants to see that because if Justin Fields flourishes as the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers or the New England Patriots, you're going to like to see him over there in San Francisco in the West, the NFC, or coming to the AFC and dealing with him twice a year. Okay, so I don't want to hear it. You're going to be happy too. You're a Jet fan. Nobody's going to want to see this kid.
I don't want the Patriots to succeed. No Jet fan wants the Patriots to succeed. That would be ridiculous to think that at all. We don't make the picks. Whoever Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh decide to pick, Joe Douglas has been good on hitting his draft picks so far. We have to embrace it and take on.
Well, he's not good at free agents, that's for sure.
Well, I would hope that this year's free agency is better than last year's. Because
hopefully. Pierre Desir?
He got good players this year. There's a difference than what he got last year.
Pierre Desir was a good player. We all thought he was a good player. He was a great fit for the New York Jets and the way they like to run their defense. Greg Williams runs his defense. The guy was out before the season's end. They got rid of him. He signed a 3-year deal in 1 year where they can decide to move away from his option. I do want to go back to the Sam Darnold situation. There was a coach in Carolina that was speaking 2 days ago about Sam Darnold, and he said something very, very interesting at the Carolina Panthers press conference introducing Sam Darnold, and that was Matt Rule. So this is what Matt Rule said about the quarterback position.
Well, I just think, with the way, the quarterback drafts are going now, I mean, again, you're going to hear me always talk about Bill Parcells, and it was like he had this metric, like guys had to have started like 24, 26 games. I can't remember what that number is. There's a lot of guys coming out early. And so that first couple of years in the NFL are like their junior and senior year of college. It's not like, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, you look at a guy, Peyton Manning, the guys like that who played a ton of football. I mean, some of the guys that are coming out, they've been in the NFL for 2-3 years and they're 22, 23. Some of the guys coming out right now are 20 and 21. So, I just think with Sam, he's a young guy who came out early, and, the football that he's played up until now is kind of like his junior and senior year.
Junior and senior year. If nobody thinks that was a Matt Rule shot at the New York Jets, junior and senior year in the NFL. Pretty much saying that the Jets are like a college football team. What does that tell me as the Jets organization goes and moves forward with Joe Douglas? Joe Douglas needs to find his way out where organizations and teams and coaches are now respecting the Jets. I don't want to play the Jets. I don't want to play Joe Douglas, Saleh, or even Mike LaFleur. I don't want to play those guys. These guys are mean, green, killing machines. That's what I want to see the Jets as an organization moving forward. The question is, are the Jets good enough as an organization where they're moving and where they believe they're going with Joe Douglas under the helm? Analyzing what the Jets are right now, they're still the same old Jets. Until they step on the field, Zach Wilson becomes Zach Wilson, where everybody thinks he's a leader / top-end quarterback in this league, a top 10, an elite quarterback, or the Jets actually have a pass rush not named John Abraham. That's when we can talk about the Jets being a team, an organization that's moving in a good direction. That's my take with everything. And I think I said it pretty well on every single aspect or connection to the New York Jets, Joe Douglas, and the Carolina stinking Hurricanes. Or I would say Panthers. I say Hurricanes because it's been a hurricane for the New York Jets forever. So Matt Rule made some interesting shots at the New York Jets. I don't think anybody understood what he was saying. And maybe some people say he wasn't trying to do that. I beg to differ. I wouldn't be happy when you're saying, hey, you know what? Sam Darnold was a young guy when he came into the league, and it's like him playing his junior and senior year before he's actually stepping foot on a football field. Because you know why? The Jets are a college football team, and they stink. As nice and as slick as a head coach could say it. And I'm not saying Matt Rule's stupid, because he's not. He's a head coach. He's making $7 or $8 million over there in Carolina. Does he deserve it? He hasn't proven anything, winning 6 or 7 games last year. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some more NFL conversation. Is Micah Parsons the guy for the New York Football Blue? That's what I call them, the Blue, because they might have blue everything if that happens. A Penn State alumni. We remember the last Penn State guy that came to the New York Giants. And where is he right now? He's sitting the bench because he can't run. Well, this year he'll be back. Saquon Barkley. And is it going to be Micah Parsons at number 11 being called by the New York Giants? I'm going to tell you why the Giants should stay the hell away from Micah here on the Weekend Crunch. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Joshua Silverberg. On the board, as always, Mr. Speedy Petey. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time, only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports E-Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Guys, if you haven't listened to our show or you haven't checked out our app, go to iOS, which is WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We have a great lineup of shows throughout the week, Monday through Sunday. And we have shows from wrestling to hockey, from baseball to basketball, all the sports into one. And if you like to laugh and you like to argue sports, you can listen to our show, The Sports Loudmouths, on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time. But tonight, 103.9, the LI News Radio Network. That is who we are. We're the Weekend Crunch. And I want to get into the NFL draft. And the New York Giants has been a story which hasn't been a story. It's all been the New York Jets. It's been Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson. Where do the Jets go? What do the Jets do in the draft with their 2 first-round draft picks and then trading away Sam Darnold? I look at the New York Giants, and everybody keeps talking about, well, Micah Parsons could be sitting there at number 11. Why wouldn't the Giants go and take a shot at Micah Parsons? Micah Parsons comes from Penn State. Saquon Barkley came from Penn State. You look at where Penn State is when it comes to being that it's on the East Coast. Maybe Micah would fit over there because his family's over there. He's from the Pennsylvania area. Well, there are stories coming out that Micah Parsons has been around a lot of gang-related situations over the last 13 years growing up in Pennsylvania. Now, I don't know the whole true story. A lot of stories coming out from football teams and some of these organizations saying that Micah you should stay away from, and the Giants are hoping that Micah is not sitting there, Josh, at number 11, because if he is, the Giants cannot pass up on a talent like Micah.
Of course not, but the situation is, like you said, it's a matter of, are the Giants going to take the talent over the personal stuff? Isn't that what all the interview processing is for? Other than, I believe it was Des Bryant, who I think they asked about his mother, asking if she was a prostitute.
I would say that was a good question.
That was a good question?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Ask if his mom's a prostitute. If she is, maybe they can have some fun. I would think that when you look at Des Bryant and you look at trying to compare Micah Parsons to Des Bryant was not a bad Samaritan. He's had his run around over there when he played for Oklahoma State. And then you look at somebody like Micah Parsons, and the Giants, you have to worry because Dave Gettleman is trying to stamp his name to this team. Definitely not going to be with Daniel Jones. And a lot of people think that if Daniel Jones doesn't succeed, well, then his boot will be out the door. So I think Micah Parsons is really a chance taker for the New York Giants, not because of the talent, because of the position that they're in where he has to hit on this. Now, Jalen Waddle is a guy that New York Giant fans have been talking about. I want a wide receiver, and if Jalen Waddle is sitting there, I'm going to draft him. If I was the New York Giants, I'm taking a short thing. Is Micah Parsons a short thing? I don't know. Some people say that Micah Parsons was better off being a running back, but they got Saquon Barkley, and it seems like these Penn State running backs can't stay on their 2 feet. Now, the question is now, when you look at the Giants, if it isn't Micah Parsons and if it isn't Jalen Waddle, who do they get at number 11? If I were the New York Giants right now, I would do everything I possibly can to move up and try to get this kid Kyle Pitt. Now, I understand the concussion situation. I heard Jeff last night saying this guy's had like 5 or 6 concussions, 2 of them this year. Are you going to trust that this kid is actually going to stay healthy and not have CTE problems by the age of 26, 25? I have no idea. But I do know this. As good as Kyle Pitts are when it comes to paper and watching him at his pro day, I'm taking a chance with him because Evan Ingram is not my guy. I'm sorry, Josh. I am not going to ride to the sunset with Evan Ingram, Mr. Pothands himself.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I would even take it one step further. If you really want to solidify something, maybe they could trade up and maybe solidify the offensive line. Maybe trade up and try to get a Slater. I doubt Sewell's going to go past 6 or 7, so that would be maybe too rich for the Giants to try to trade for. But the problem is this. Dave Gettleman has been the same guy every single year. He doesn't like to trade out of the picks. He doesn't like to trade up. He doesn't like to trade down. He likes to stay stagnant, and who's ever there, that's what he takes. And Speedy, you're a Giant fan. What is your insight on what you think the New York Giants are going to do in the draft? Because you know this as well as anybody. Dave Gettleman,
they're going to flush a toilet.
Creative and shrewd.
They're going to flush a toilet, and his name's going to be Daniel Jones. And he's going to roll right down the great Gettleman's legs all the way into the ball and saying, "Hi, Hi, I'm Mr. Hanky. I'm Daniel Jones. I'm getting flushed. Bye-bye.
Yeah, sounds accurate. And it sounds like Dave Gettleman on that year's draft, too. But in this year's draft, there's a lot of different options I like for the Giants. I think Parsons, I like him more over Waddle just because I think he's a more complete player at his position, especially with linebackers. They're very hard to find now in today's game. But if it came to an offensive lineman like Slater, I probably would take Slater in that case because it's being prioritized a lot more, especially early in drafts now because of these offensive schemes now. Not that I trust what the Giants do. You know how I feel about Jason Garrett. But regardless, tackles are very hard
What's
to
wrong
find.
with Jason Garrett? He takes shots at poor old
They
Jason
should
Garrett.
love Jason Garrett.
No,
They-
he was great when he was with the Cowboys. No doubt about that.
Come on. But here's the thing, though. Like, if you take a Slater, you can move Andrew Thomas to the right side, which I think would be better suited for him.
See, I actually think
anyway.
Thomas, though,
It's better
played
on the
better
left,
on the
yes.
left last year.
In the league this year, man, he didn't grasp it as well as I thought he could have. He did
Not
not
initially, but
I
he
don't
played
think
better
did.
on the left, though.
He may be a little better on the left, but the thing is, if he plays on the right, though, is it really that much more pressure, though, especially with Jones being a right-handed quarterback?
I don't think Slater's going to be there anyways at number 11. I
No,
don't.
they're both going to be in the top 10.
I think Slater could go number 9. He can go number 7. He can go 8. Obviously, they're the Carolina Panthers to protect Sam. There are so many options that could happen before it even hits the New York Giants, who are drafting, I think, at number 11. So I think the interesting fact is the New York Giants need a number 1 wide receiver. Now, maybe Smith is sitting there at 11. He falls out of the top 10. Now, I don't think the Cowboys at 10 is going to need another wide receiver. They got one. They
But the
after
Giants are just
CeeDee Lamb.
paid Galladay number 1 wide receiver money, though.
I
I
understand
trust
that.
Devontae Smith to be a number 1 receiver more than Kenny Golladay.
It makes a lot more sense that Devontae Smith might be sitting there because Jamar Chase, they're saying that could be Cincinnati's pick. And if that's the case, there's still Kyle Pitt there. I really think that Smith might be sitting there at number 11 for the New York Giants.
Oh,
They
listen,
can
if
get
Devontae
Smith.
Smith is there, you jump on that in a second. Look, you go the way the Cowboys did. The Cowboys didn't need CeeDee Lamb, but they took CeeDee Lamb because he was the best player available at the time, and it was amazing
I
that he
can't
went down
believe
that
he
far.
fell there.
He should have gone in the top 10. It was a steal for
17,
them. It was a no-brainer for them to take him. So it's almost like if Devontae Smith is there, you add to it with Kenny Galladay. You still have other guys. If you still believe in Sterling Shepard, I think he still has some talent. Evan Ingram is obviously a massive problem. I think he's so highly overrated. It's ridiculous. He drops every big game he has. He drops every ball.
You get the best player on the board. And if Micah Parsons is the best, most talented position on the board, you're drafting him. That's the answer. You have to. And I don't want to hear about, well, I think he's a bad guy. Well, I'm a bad guy sometimes, and I'm a good guy sometimes.
No, I do like your Kyle Pitts idea. Because the thing is, if you get Kyle Pitts, you can now have an asset in Ingram where you could trade him for draft picks and get back some draft
You're not getting
capital.
much for him. I'm telling you.
You're
What,
not-
a 6th
I mean,
round
look,
pick?
Say what you will. He has made the Pro Bowl, 2 of the last 3 or 4 years? So say what
Ooh.
That says more about how many good tight ends are in the league. There's
Yeah,
not
but
many.
Well, I understand that at the same time, it's still on his resume.
Yeah.
And people are still going to think that he's still.
You know
How
what's
old
on my
is-
resume? I
how
went
old
to the
is
bathroom
Ingram?
twice today.
Mitch
How
Trubisky
old
made a
is
Pro
he?
Bowl. Does that mean anything?
How old is Ingram?
26.
He's really young.
I think that when you understand where the Giants are, and you look at some of these teams, like, for instance, you look at Cincinnati, the Bengals, and what they're looking for. They need an offensive lineman that can protect Joe Burrows after that injury, that bad injury to his knee, the MCL and ACL. I think that you know what the deficiencies are with some of these teams, and you're looking at the strengths and the weaknesses. The Giants have a couple of big weaknesses. I think their strength is the cornerback position, so you don't need a corner. I think their weakness right now is defensive line help, asking and finding the guy that can get to the quarterback, which the Jets have been really trying to gather for the last couple of years, and really the wide receiving position, because even if they bring in Kenny Galladay, who's overpaid, overpriced, and I don't think is a number 1, you need to find that guy that's going to open up the field for your quarterback and make Daniel Jones a little bit better on paper than you really see when he plays in the game. So I think the whole point is to make the quarterback finds his game and his talent around him better. So I think the best option the New York Giants need to do is first look for wide receiver, tight end. Second, look for the pass rusher. I think that will make more sense when you know the positions that they're gravitating to and what they need for Gettleman to really get this back moving in the right direction. And Saquon needs to play a full season and show everybody that he was worth every bit of that second pick almost 4 years ago. Saquon Barkley had one really good season his first season. His second season was a dud, and his third season was injured. So I think that we want to see what Saquon Barkley could do on a full end-from-end season. That's what I want to see.
Learn how to stop a pass rush too. When guys are rushing in, he has to learn how to stop that.
I think
he
Barkley's
has to learn how to stop that pass rush.
I think Barkley's.
He just gets bulldozed every single time.
Well, you like the bulldozing.
You know what I mean?
You like the bulldozing. You like the John Abraham bulldozer, right?
I had a John Abraham jersey.
Yeah, I figured. You look like the type of person that would.
What does that mean? John Abraham was a good player.
And now he's a retired player that's trying to find his way to be a Hall of Famer. So we'll see. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get into some basketball conversation. The Brooklyn Nets lose an important piece to their team moving forward towards the playoffs. Playoffs are right around the corner. Is losing LaMarcus Aldridge now for the rest of the season and obviously retiring, his career is over. Does this make the Brooklyn Nets not the favorites to come out of the East? Well, when we come back, I'm going to tell you why I would agree that could be true here on the Weekend Crunch. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Joshua Big Daddy Little J Silverberg. And Mr. Platform, Mr. Board Op, Mr. I don't know where the hell I am, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can call us and listen to us every single weekday on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network by going to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Go to iOS, WWSRN, and download the app, or Android Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And we are live every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Team Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Big Daddy, that's a new one.
Yeah, there's Big Daddy. You know, I don't know if you're a big daddy. I got to ask your wife if you're a big daddy. I think you're more of a small daddy. Who knows? There's some revelations of thinking that you're Big Daddy.
I should let it go.
You should have. You're not Adam Sandler, that's for sure.
That's my mistake.
You kind of look like Adam Sandler with a shaved head. You kind of do.
I met Adam Sandler before.
Oh, well, congratulations to you. Did he like you?
Yes, he did.
Oh, well, what did you say to him? Hi and goodbye? That's about it.
He saw me wearing a Jet shirt or something. He was cracking a bunch of jokes about it.
Well, he's a Jet fan. I'm kind of lost with you. I wonder sometimes if you're a Jet fan or you're just like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man fan. I think that's what you like.
You got a big thing with Ghostbusters tonight, my friend.
You're damn right. Who are you going to call? If we're not calling Josh, you're calling Speedy. So, unfortunately, I'm running for my life.
That's what Alex would do.
Well, that's true, too. Speedy, I don't know what to do. Uh-oh. What am I supposed to do, Speedy?
What do we do now? Thank God that happened at the end of the show.
We're on all different platforms right now. Everybody's going to get a chance to watch us do our live show on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network. So I'd like to thank all the fans for listening to us and tuning into us right now. This is the opportunity to really get the chance to see a great FM radio show on 103.9. But getting back into some sports, the Brooklyn Nets have a huge problem. And LaMarcus Aldridge, nobody would have thought in their wildest dreams a couple of weeks ago where there were stories coming out that LaMarcus Aldridge, being that he was dropped by the Spurs, they parted ways. Nobody knew that he had heart problems or situations with his health. He decided, instead of going to the Heat, to go to the Brooklyn Nets. And all the Net fans says, uh-oh, here we go. We're going to the championship. We're going against the Lakers. We're going to go against the Utah Jazz. And with the size that we have and the ability that we have with Blake Griffin and Jordan and the veteran players that we have, and now LaMarcus Aldridge, we're going. We're winning. Well, I don't know about that anymore. I think that you look at the game, the transformation of the regular season to the playoffs, completely different. LeBron James, who's dominated the playoffs year in and year out, almost every place he goes, it's either the West or the East. He's not Steph Curry, who's a wannabe championship player who says, and everybody says, is a top 5 point guard of all time. No. LeBron James is a top 2 player of all time, and the only person you can compare him to, which you can't, but you would try to, is Michael Jordan. But all in all, you look at the Brooklyn Nets and you look at James Harden, you look at Kyrie Irving, who's having an MVP season. I know he's played only 39 games, and all you Net fans are saying, well, it doesn't matter if he's played how many games. He's still Kyrie Irving. He's still averaging this amount of points. Well, here's what I'm going to say.
Mackie from South Park.
Well, good. Good for you. I'll give you a Mackie. I'll give you a nice swift kick to the ass. But nevertheless, I will say this. I look at the Brooklyn Nets. There's a big deficiency in size. They're not a good offensive rebounding team. You see what the LA Lakers got. They got Andre Drummond, who's the best offensive rebounder in the league. You have Anthony Davis coming back, and he's practicing now, who's going to be coming back. If you do play the Lakers in the finals, you don't stand a chance. So all you Net fans, I think they're going to compete for a championship. I think they're going to compete in the Eastern Conference because it's just that damn bad. Are they going to win against a Western Conference team? Are they going to beat the Jazz in a 7-game series? Are they going to beat the Clippers in a 7-game series? Hey, are they going to pick are they going to be able to beat the Lakers? And if they're going to pick the Lakers, I'd be running from the Lakers. But the answer is, Josh,
they're not going to. And this is what this does. Okay. So this is basically going to be adding DeAndre Jordan back into the fold because DeAndre Jordan, for the little bit amount of time that LaMarcus Aldridge was here, which was about 5 games he was probably here for, he put up pretty decent numbers. But the biggest thing about him was his interior defense, and they lost a massive rebounder. Now they don't have the size. If they go against the Los Angeles Lakers, who has Andre Drummond, who's the king of rebounding in this league, and Anthony Davis, they're going to get slaughtered on the boards. And that's going to happen. Second and third chance opportunities for the Lakers. If they go against the Utah Jazz, who have Rudy Gobert and other guys, they're going to get squashed in the interior, in the paint. They don't have the size anymore. It's done. It's over. You always mention MVP. We always talk about, I think, Jokic and Irving. You have to add Joel Embiid to that conversation. Joel Embiid's having a ridiculously good year this year as well. And even that, too, if they had to play the 76ers. How are they going to out-rebound Joel Embiid in that series? Now, I think the Nets will win in a 7-game series because you have Kyrie, KD, and Harden. They should win, and they should get to the finals. It's a no-brainer. If they don't, it's a complete disaster. But the point of it is this. They get to the finals. Now the Net fans and all the fans in the NBA are going to say, well, if they don't win, it's a complete failure. Well, when you bring those 3 superstars to a single team, then yes, it's an absolute failure. Because you know what? The Miami Heat, remember their first year when the Big Three got together? Who did they lose to in the finals? They lost to Dirk. Remember, they made fun of Dirk because he had a cold. They sniffled and made fun of him in the postgame. Mm-hmm. And they lost in 6 games to the Dallas Mavericks, who were a very good team, but they had nowhere near the talent that the Miami Heat had with the Big Three of Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. So therefore, if the Nets don't win, it's going to be Bash City for Brooklyn. And then the question is going to become, can Kyrie handle it here in New York? Is KD going to be sensitive and go on social media? Is James Harden all in with this team in the future? Losing LaMarcus Aldridge is a massive blow. And I don't want to hear Blake Griffin. Please. Blake Griffin hasn't been relevant in 5 or 6 years. You add DeAndre Jordan back to the fold. DeAndre Jordan stinks. Okay, there's a reason why they signed LaMarcus Aldridge because DeAndre Jordan stinks. And the Brooklyn Nets are pretty much, I would say, very much screwed because they have no size on this team.
You look at the Knicks and you look at Julius Randle, a guy that's been very, very tired. I think that Tom Thibodeau has really expensed his young players now, and I think he needs to start using them more and understanding on where this team is going. Quickly should be played more. I want to see more Obi Toppin. I want to see more of R.J. Barrett, even though R.J. Barrett's playing a significant amount of time. I know what Julius Randle is. He's a great player. He's going to get a lot of money. The Knicks are probably going to pay him. We know what he is. If you're ready to win in the playoffs, you need to allow that this guy is going to stay healthy. This guy is going to be able to continue helping this Knicks team grow into a playoff contending team. So that's what I want to see. I don't want to see, well, you know what? I'm going to sit back and hope that Tom Thibodeau's going to find somebody in the rough. This is not Mr. Needle in the haystack, because if it was, I'd take Speedy and I'd shove him down the toilet. Okay.
So why don't you do this then? Why not when they play a crappy team that they know that they could probably beat? So if they play like the Detroit Pistons or some crappy team like that they know they can beat, why not make an excuse and just put Julius Randle out for a rest? You cannot sit here and tell me that Anthony Davis, he was injured at the beginning of February. He'll be back in 4 weeks. It is now April. That means that they're resting him longer for this.
But the Knicks can't do that. If they want to make the playoffs, they can't rest anybody. They can't sit anybody.
But they're milking it so he is rested and prepared for the playoffs.
We're talking about the Knicks. We're not talking about Anthony Davis.
I know that, but I'm saying the Knicks should take that approach.
I don't know why you're jumping from the Lakers to the Knicks. They're not even comparable. The Lakers could win without Anthony Davis and LeBron James. They've proven it. Could the Knicks win without Randle playing a little bit?
Once this year already. They played Randle in a game and they won.
Oh, give me a break. Josh, what are you doing over there, man?
Whatever
you're smoking, maybe you need to smoke the wax that Kenny was smoking last night. I have no idea what is going on with you tonight, man.
What I'm trying to say to you is they played a game without Julius Randle this year. Dude, it's one game if you let him sit out. One game, you can't give him an extra day of rest. Or like when they clinch a spot and they know where they're at that point, right? So say they clinch the 6th seed. So you can't let him sit out those last 2 games of the year.
So hold on. Where do I sign up for the New York Knicks? I sign up winning the first round of the playoffs and showing that you're an up-and-coming team, and then try to make a move for Chris Paul in the offseason when he's a free agent. And maybe if Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns do not get out of the second round, maybe you talk Devin Booker into leaving Phoenix and pushing him out, like there were stories coming out that he wanted to flee and go to the Knicks last season when Rose and Wesley became a part of the management group for the New York Knicks.
I keep saying Big Cat, Karl Anthony Towns.
Stop spreading rumors. It doesn't make any sense how the Big
I'm not spreading rumors. Well, you also
rumor
forget
mill, Josh's rumors.
You also forget who's running the Timberwolves now, so who has any clue what kind of owner he is?
Oh, who are you talking about? Oh, yes, Mr. Rodriguez. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, the guy that doesn't even play basketball. He's now owning the Timberwolves.
Well, why not? He knows how to make money. He knows how to put money in his pockets.
Yeah, great. He went from trying to own the Mets in New York City.
He's better off owning that team.
The Minnesota Timberwolves.
What's wrong with owning about the Timberwolves? I mean, they have Karl Anthony Towns. They have Edwards. They got the number 1 pick last year. I think
where are they?
Right now, they're nowhere. But if you put a guy that knows how to win, and listen, Alex Rodriguez did win a championship. Say whatever you want. He played for the Yankees. He was a big part of that championship team. And this guy is still one of the greatest baseball players, one of the greatest athletes to ever play in professional sports. I don't care if he did steroids. I don't want to hear it. That's not an excuse. Don't make excuses. I am so tired of excuses for all you fans out there.
He never played basketball, and he's
Who
never
cares?
But he's never owned a team.
He played football. He was a star quarterback.
In what, high school?
So what? Some people said he was a number 1 recruit as a quarterback coming from Miami.
Has he ever owned a team before?
It doesn't matter. You got to.
Did he ever play basketball?
Learn how to do that, don't you? If you got money, you've owned organizations and businesses, and you're dating J-Lo.
No, he's not.
He's still
He's
dating
not.
J-Lo.
They broke up.
Oh, don't believe that.
They announced it.
Oh my God.
Two of them announced it.
If the Kardashians said they lost their underwear in a toilet, you're going to believe them? Oh my God. And there it goes. That's what I say when it comes to the good and the best of the bald man Adam Sandler wannabe, Joshua Silverberg.
Now my dog is worried. Now my dog is worried.
Oh, well, there's a lot of things worried. It's definitely not going to be your dog, and whatever dog you're talking about, that's for damn sure. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get into some baseball. And yes, the New York Yankees and their fans are not very happy about where this team is going. And even though there's only 15 or 16 games into the season, I think the Yankee fans want to jump off a plank. Well, I'm going to tell you why. Yankee fans, relax. They're already there. And what I mean by that is that they're going to find their way out of this, and they're going to find a way to win. This team is too good to be bad. Aaron Hicks needs to get over that 176 mark. But all in all, this team will figure it out. I'm sure they will. When we come back, we'll get into some Mets. We'll get into the Yankees. And I'm going to tell you why the Atlanta Braves are not out of the question, still the best team in the National League. When we come back, I will tell you why Atlanta still is the favorite to come out of the National League East here on the Weekend Crunch. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Joshua Little J. Silverberg. And on the boards, as always, the guy that wears no underwear sometimes on shows, Mr. Speedy Petey. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network. Brought to you by New York Sports E-Magazine and the World Wide Sports Radio Network. Guys, if you haven't checked us out on iRadio USA, check us out. We are a great show. We are a live show. Our network is on iRadio USA. Shout out to Chris Angel, the famous and the greatest magician around, really in Vegas. He is the biggest show in Vegas. But thank you to him with his digital platform and really our network, the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Check out our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. By the way, Josh, I see what you have. You have your little off the mat. Try to fit in with it.
I only have it prepared for Tuesday. That's what I have.
Well, congratulations. It takes you 5 seconds to re-prepare something, and you're worried about Tuesday? Tuesday's not for like 4 days.
We already had our show and our topics already, man. We're ready to go.
Oh, so you have it all set up for 4 days from now.
We do things so early.
I figured. You're trying to follow yourself or maybe follow each other. Maybe trying to sniff each other's butts. I have no idea. When it comes to wrestling, guys, if you're a wrestling fan, if you like to do that, just call Joshua Silverberg and watch Off the Mat. There is some smells and some stenches over there with Lyle, so who knows?
Wait a minute. Alex doesn't get away with anything.
What do you mean? Poor little Alex. Sometimes he wonders where he's at. Maybe he just doesn't realize where he's at or know where he is. Sometimes I wonder if Alex knows if he's talking on a radio show. But all in all, I love Alec. And Lyle, I love you too, man. I'm a little lost at some of the things that you do. And if he's listening to the show, congratulations. I just want to give you some confidence, and maybe you'll find yourself out of a hole, some other hole. Anyways, I want to get into some baseball. When you listen to the New York Yankee fans, and I live in New York, and I grew up a Yankee fan. I grew up a Don Mattingly fan, Donnie Baseball. The Yankees in the 80s were horrendous. They couldn't win a lick, even though they had the most wins out of any major league team in the 80s. It didn't show because they never won a championship. There was no wild card teams, and they barely made the playoffs. So I got a chance to watch the Yankees when they were really, really bad, and then in the 90s they were really, really good. Yankee fans now, and some of the older Yankee fans are now ready to jump off a ledge. They're throwing baseballs on a field like last night, which is shameful, and because they're not playing good baseball, maybe because they brought in Corey Kluber and think that he was the savior. I don't know where Corey Kluber is and where the New York Yankees are as an organization, but I do know that they're going to figure things out. This is a team that's too good not to win 90 to 100 games, and I think it's too early to want to jump off a plank. But Met fans like to sit there and like to stir up things. If you want to give me some hot cocoa or some coffee to really keep myself up with some caffeine, well, you could just ask a Met fan, because a Met fan, they want to run their heads into a wall. And maybe the Mets are playing pretty decent baseball now, so Met fans are all happy. Oh, we're playing better than the Yankees. So you know what? Francisco Lindor wasn't overpaid. Oh, well, give me a break. Francisco Lindor needs to figure things out, but the Mets are playing better baseball than the Yankees. But Yankee fans, there's got to be something that you see good with this team moving forward. And the fact is Aaron Judge is still healthy. He's got 4 home runs already, and maybe this team is moving in the right direction. It doesn't show on the wins and losses record, but wins and losses is not going to explain everything until the middle of the season. Trying to get this team together, staying healthy, and figuring things out as an organization on where their strengths and the weaknesses are, where they can attack their weaknesses and fix their strengths, then you're a championship competitive team. And the Dodgers right now look like they're unbeatable. But, Josh, I know you're going to go right into your Mets because that's what you do.
No, I'm not. No, we can talk Yankees.
No, we'll get into the Mets because I'd like to hear some of the garbage that comes out of your mouth, because there is some things that,
That's what they literally say. They don't play any games.
Right now, the Mets haven't played anybody good.
But shouldn't this team beat the bad teams?
The Mets need to figure things out of who their identity is, because I think all we've seen so far is Conforto like to stick his elbow out and hit himself because he can't hit a ball and he can't hit a lick, and he's trying to win a contract. Your 2 best hitters in Smith and Nimmo, where everybody was talking about, they weren't sure if he was even going to make the team this year before the season started. They were going to go after
he was going to make the team. They didn't know if he could play center field.
Well, they were talking about bringing Springer in. If Springer came in, Nimmo would have been gone.
What they would have done was they would have moved Nimmo to left, and then it would have put Smith to the bench, which would have been a problem, because then that's a big bet off that you're missing.
I think they would have traded Nimmo.
No,
I think Smith is a better hitter.
He's absolutely a better hitter.
So why would you play Nimmo?
I love Brady Nimmo. He's one of my favorite players.
I feel bad for you.
I don't know why, but okay.
He's one of your favorite players. I mean, how could you root on a guy that is not one of those known guys that you could care less about?
I like the guys that fly under the radar. I like those kind of guys. I'm a Jet fan. I like Jericho Cotchery. He flew under the radar. I don't like the major heavily.
I wish you flew under the radar. That would make me feel so much better.
Well, trust me. I wish a lot of things about you that would,
unfortunate. That's a shame for you.
I don't feel shame about anything, actually. I feel wonderful.
Look at you. You look like Adam Sandler lookalike who's trying
That's
to be.
That's fine by me. Adam Sandler makes millions of dollars.
Yeah,
I'd rather look like him than look like you.
Adam Sandler makes millions and you make hundreds or pennies or $2 or whatever the heck you make. So, I mean, you have something in common. You just don't make enough money.
Not yet, per se, but sure.
Well, that's true. If you keep kissing that dog and you're showing people that you love your dog, you might be marrying her.
Well, I'm already married anyway. So.
Well, we hope. We don't know if you gave one of those rings to your doggie. You could be married to her.
No thumbs or any fingers. She just has
nails.
I mean, is this the conversation we're going with? Where were we going with this?
The conversation is your Mets. That's what I'm talking about. But obviously, you love your Brandon Nimmo, and you'll probably jump off the ledge if Nimmo gets traded. Is that what we're talking about here?
No, not at all. I think what would have happened was Smith would have been put to the bench. Sandy drafted both Nimmo and Smith, and I think Smith would have been the guy he would have traded, which would have been unfortunate. But I look at it like this: look, the Mets are still finding themselves. Their starting pitching has been unbelievably good, and they don't even have Carrasco or Syndergaard back yet, which is a bonus for them. It feels like they're bullpen, it's okay. They're figuring it out in some capacity. They still don't have Seth Lugo back yet, but you're seeing guys like Castro who's finding his rhythm, who did well in spring training. May is doing better. Loop had a nice ground ball the other day. I think the biggest thing about this team right now is they're playing good, fundamentally good defensive baseball on the infield with Guillorme and Lindor and McNeil, and even Alonso has really improved his defense, and McNeil throwing guys out. The Mets have a good defensive catcher finally. It's been a very long time.
A great defensive catcher can hit.
Well, he's hitting 285 right now.
Yes, but I have a feeling he's going to fall off the radar.
He might, but look at it this way. It's all about with defense. They're playing so much better defensively. The last 7 or 8 years, they have not been able to make the most simplest plays. They've been so bad at turning double plays in the ground balls. Now it feels like every time a ball is hit, you feel comfortable as a fan because these guys can make the most simple plays, but there's even nice plays that they're doing. And the bigger thing is, like a guy like Guillorme, for example, is able to literally, when he fields the ball, he slides, and he's able to, when he throws it, he bounces the ball to Alonso in the perfect spot where
You see this? It bounces the ball. It's like follow the yellow brick road.
I don't understand. I'm saying
he's
what
like
this,
a Wizard of Oz fan. I mean,
seriously,
is the Wicked Witch coming? I mean, seriously, everything is great. Oh,
yeah, you're
great.
It. That's
great.
who it is. You're the Wicked Witch.
I mean, seriously. I mean, we're going to see flying monkeys in a few minutes. This
That's
guy.
cheating.
I mean, there's more happiness than bad things with this guy. I mean, think about it. There's nothing bad that he's seeing for the New York Mets.
Oh, that's completely not true.
They're great.
They're live, dude. They need to hit better. That's not even close to what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
they have flaws in their lineup, and they need to fix those flaws in regards to guys hitting with runners.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road.
Okay, so when I say something good, you get upset. When I say something negative, you make fun of me. So it's like a can't win, can't lose kind of situation.
Well, it's never win or lose with you. It's all about winning because it's all about the Mets. Don't bring up the Yankees.
The Mets have problems with hitting, right?
Yes, the Yankees do too.
You're funny me about that, and they do. When you bring up the Yankees starting pitching, you don't hear me say a thing.
Because it's the Yankees.
Yankees are going to be fun. The Yankees are going to be fun.
They are. Because the Yankees are always like this. They're always like this.
The Yankee pitching is going to be okay.
They're always like this. The Yankees are always like this. The Mets, they've never dealt with this. The Yankees are always like this.
Are you kidding me, dude? Going into this season, the Yankees have had certain players. Dude, they had Tanaka. They've had Paxton. They have Severino. Adequate number of pitchers that you knew going into it can still pitch.
No, really?
Yeah, really. Duh.
So when Paxton came in last year, every Yankee fan was excited that Paxton was going to pitch a full season. No, they didn't. So I don't want to hear that. Masahiro Tanaka. Yankee fans. Right now. I'm taking Kluber.
My God.
I'm taking Kluber.
Holy moly. You are on crack.
I'm on crack. Here's how much crack I'm on. Let's go look at Masahiro Tanaka's numbers the last 2 years in the beginning of the season. If I pull it up his first 6 games, Tanaka's won 1 game. Last year, he won his first game in 4. He won 1 game in 4 games. Kluber's been on the mound twice. He's lost 1 game. He's 0-1. He got pulled out in the 3rd inning or the 4th inning, the game that they lost.
You need the game.
He's lost 1 game as a pitcher. Yes, his ERA is 7. Tanaka last year in the beginning of the season, his ERA was at 7.83.
You knew Tanaka was going to eventually find himself.
And you're going to know that with Kluber. Kluber won 2 Cy Youngs.
Kluber hasn't been healthy in 2 years.
He hasn't been healthy for 2 years. Well, first of all,
he hasn't pitched well either.
I can't wait until Kluber starts pitching well so I can stick it down your throat. And then you're going to make some excuse.
I can't wait till the Mets are hitting and I can shove it down your throat.
No, the Mets aren't going to be hitting because the Mets are going to be playing in a division, and Lindor's playing in a division that he's never played in. He's playing against better pitching and better organizations and better teams that are moving forward.
I hope the Yankees starting pitching pitches well, Pally boy.
I don't have to hope anything. I'm not a blind fan. I tell you how it is.
I'm not a blind fan either. I'm telling you how it is. The Yankees starting pitching is concerning.
Yeah, and so is the Mets lineup. That's for damn sure.
I agree with you. I think the Mets lineup is very concerning.
And here's the thing. The Yankees have been in these situations before. The Yankees starting pitching has started the season this bad before. And where have the Yankees been every single season? Winning between 95 and 100 games. The Mets have been favorites quite a few times in the last, 25 years. And every time they're a favorite, they usually don't go as far as everybody thinks they are. And I think Met fans, again, there's so many games being canceled, COVID-19, it's too cold out, who's putting them in Colorado? And you want to know something?
Let me ask you, who decided to put them in Colorado in April?
The Mets. The Mets agreed to those.
No, they didn't. Major League Baseball did.
And the Mets have to sign off on that schedule. The Mets have to sign it.
So, I don't think they really had much of an option or any say in it.
Oh, give me a break. What a crap.
You tell me you think the Mets agreed to them going to Colorado in April?
I guarantee you the Mets fans had, I guess all you Met fans didn't see that to be that way, but I'm sure the Mets, when they looked at it, they didn't care because they didn't think it was still going to be as bad as it is with the COVID-19 situation. So I think they thought that it was going to be called off anyways and be pushed. But now all of a sudden with the COVID-19 and all these speculations of where the MLB is going this season, if they're even going to play 162 games, well, I'm going to throw myself under a rock. Anyways, go Cardinals, by the way. I think the Cardinals are going to be a dangerous team. And I think the Atlanta Braves are going to find their way out of this conundrum. I think they're in a conundrum, and I think
nice word. I like that word.
Yeah, you like that? Could I smack you around a little bit? Or maybe I should invite Speedy over and you can have Doritos with him. What do you think?
I don't even understand what that. Speedy can come over anytime he wants and hang out. I actually won't get upset.
Oh, well, there you go. Speedy is too bothered by listening to your crazy, stupid, no good, dirty, scoundrel stuff.
Everything you say is wonderful. It's like the Ten Commandments. The waves, Arrow speaks, and the waves open up.
Yes.
That's
little
it.
Passover.
Open up.
Follow.
And then when he's wrong,
follow all the way up to Har Sinai.
The
Ten Commandments. Give it to me all, baby. Give it to me all. I am lost, but I'm here to stay. I love Fruity Pebbles in a major way. There we go. Anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some hockey. We're going to talk about some Rangers and Islanders. And by the way, I have no idea what's going on with the Islanders. And in the last 3 games, I think Barry Trotz is going to have some empty practices, no press, because I think there needs some skating drills. I see this team being pushed to the edge because if they think squeezing into the playoffs is good enough to go all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals this year, they're sadly mistaken. And with the picks and the draft picks that they traded away to get these 2 other players, in Zajac and Palmieri, they're expected to win this year. I want to see a little bit more situational hockey where I want to see them winning. And by the way, the Rangers, they're playing pretty good hockey, but the Beef still has these dreams that they're going to make the playoffs. Well,
I don't want them to make the playoffs.
Well, why not? Do you think going after a high draft pick is going to make a difference?
No, because then that means David Quinn's going to be back next year.
Well, David Quinn will probably be back because there's nothing that's been coming out that they're going to move past.
He's like Lou. He's very quiet. He doesn't disclose things to the media.
I'm going to be very interested. I don't think they're moving on from him. I think they're going to give him one more year. Young defense, young team. They believe in moving forward with David Quinn. We'll see.
I love this kid Kravtsov, by the way.
Of course you do. I remember when he was drafted. So, well, it makes you love him anyways. Well, we'll get into that when we come back here on the Weekend Crunch. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. As you guys know, my name is Errol Marks, my co-host Joshua Silverberg, and the producer, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Team Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Download the Worldwide Sports Radio app, iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. iRadio USA, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are now on Chris Angel's digital platform. We are the voices of sports radio here in New York, Long Island. We are here to stay, and we're here to romp any sports fan if they want to attack the greatest of all, and that's not Joshua Silverberg.
That's
a curveball, ladies and gentlemen. I just like to throw them. Anyways, I will get into a lot when we go into debate wars because I win a lot. There's some kind of authority when it comes to who is a winner and who is a loser. I am a winner. And Josh, I would say, is like silly putty. You know, you pull it off. And
I actually say the winners are the fans. That's who I say the winners are.
Oh, the winners are the fans. But they're the losers because they have to listen to you. So how's that?
You're such a nice guy.
I am. I just like throwing curveballs. You know, tonight is just the day of throwing curveballs. I'm sorry, Josh. But you're in the middle of my way. So I got to top the mountain of Adam Sandler wannabe. Anyways. I want to get into some hockey conversation. And no, the Islanders are not playing tonight. So it is us. You are listening to us live at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And yes, we are going to get into some Islanders hockey. And Josh, I know you're a big hockey fan. I'm a big hockey fan too. Are you surprised that the Islanders are on a 3-game losing streak? And do you think that the Islander fans have something to be concerned about, knowing that they've lost 3 games in a row? Two games against the Boston Bruins, who are trying to fight their way back into this leaderboard, and the New York Rangers, who are trying to slowly but surely sneak into the playoffs because the Beeve thinks that they're a playoff contending team.
I'd say the last 2 years, this has been the issue with the Islanders. Towards the end of the season, it always feels like they go on this tailspin, per se, where they're very stagnant. And I don't know if it's because Palmieri and Zajac are trying to kind of get the chemistry down. That could be a situation. The weird thing to me is this. When you look at the way the New York Islanders are playing, and by the way, kudos to the Boston Bruins at the trade deadline for getting Taylor Hall for absolutely nothing. Taylor Hall has been an absolute stud since the Bruins got him. I think he scored the same amount of goals for the Bruins in these 2 or 3 games that he scored for the entire season for the Sabres. It just feels like Palmieri, I thought, would fit in a little bit more. I mean, look, there's still time. He just got there. But the thing is, the trade deadline, I think, was a little later this year, and the playoffs are coming up so fast that there's only so much time for him to gain chemistry. Like I said, even last year before COVID hit, remember, they were in the playoff picture, the Islanders, and they got off to such a tailspin. They were out of the playoff picture. They weren't going to get in. They were losing so many games, and then COVID hit, and they were able to click the reset button, the Islanders, and they made it into the playoffs and were a dangerous team. They were very physical. They were able to play their defensive game that they played. The Islanders have to figure this out. Barry Trotz has to sit with this team, have a conversation with them, and basically tell them, you are not playing the game that you played the first so-and-so games this season. I always find it to lose back-to-back games to the same team is a very difficult task to do because you saw them once already. It's like, okay, we can figure them out. At this point, something is off with them. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's still
it's
an
called
offensive
new players. I think it has a lot to do with the new players. I think they need to figure out what their lines are moving forward. There's 11 games left. I think that Barry Trotz is just trying to move around some of these lines and figure out who fits. The Islanders, if they don't make the playoffs, it would be an absolute catastrophe.
Oh, they're going to make the playoffs. They'll make the playoffs. It's just a matter of how are they going to go into the playoffs. Are they going to go in stagnant? Or
they
are
went
they going to
stagnant
go in
last year, and they went all the way to the Eastern Conference Championship. So I don't think it matters with the Islanders.
The COVID thing hit. They were out of the game for, a month and a half or 2 months or 3 months. They were able to reset.
If anything, it would be worse. It would be worse for them. If you're resetting, you're missing a whole month.
No, because they were struggling so bad. They were struggling so bad.
And they're struggling so bad right now.
But there's not going to be a stoppage this year.
They don't have to stop because even if they play out these 11 games and they lose 8 out of the 11 games, they're still making the playoffs. So, again, it doesn't matter. If the Islanders, their season starts now and they lose out every single game, I still think that the Islanders can make that run. Sorokin lost last night. I think his first loss in quite a few games. I think he's been very successful. I think, to me, he's the Rookie of the Year. If I were to pick who the Rookie of the Year right now is, not defensemen or offensive players, I'm taking Sorokin. I think Sorokin has been the best all-around rookie coming in from the KHL. But again,
Boston's playing really well right now, too. I mean, listen, Taylor Hall has fit in.
He's not a rookie.
Extremely with this team.
I'm not talking about Taylor Hall.
No, I'm not. I'm saying Boston's playing really well right now because Taylor Hall is playing really well right now. Maybe that has to do with it.
Are you surprised Taylor Hall is a good player? I think Taylor Hall was a good player. He went to Buffalo.
Well, no, I never said he made smart decisions.
Well, he thought it was easier going to play with Jack Eichel than going over there and playing Marchand, who probably likes to bite your nose off or something.
Or lick you.
Or spit at you, or smack you around, or, climb elevators, or I don't know what the hell he thinks in his head. Eventually, we're going to hear that he bungee jumps off a building. We've seen a lot of crazy things with some of these guys, and guys that don't like to wear their dentures, they like to do stupid things. But again, I think that where the Islanders are and where they're sitting, I don't think they're in a bad position. I think that the Rangers... you as a Ranger fan thinking that I don't want to make the playoffs. I think you want them to make the playoffs. If you think it's going to keep Quinn, I think if they're somewhere close to a playoff spot, I still think they're going to keep Quinn because I still think JD thinks that giving him
what you said the other day.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that I said, and now I'm seeing the situation. I see how JD has reacted, and I've read some things off the computer and some of the writers. All the Ranger writers want, obviously, Quinn to be gone. But that doesn't mean that JD thinks, hey, getting rid of Quinn is the right thing to do. Now, if the right guy comes along, guy from the Blue Jackets, we talk about this all the time, is skipping and jumping for the position, then I would get rid of Quinn. I don't just, hey, you know what, I'm going to go with the Montreal coach. I'm going to go with Babcock because he's the big name. He's the big name available. I say you go after the best optional guy. And if you don't have the right guy that's optional and he's still there, then you play with Quinn. You go into the season with Quinn and beg and pray that they're going to figure things out. Because to me, the only 2 or 3 impressive players, Fox has been impressive for the position that he plays, especially with the Rangers. He's been the best defensive player. And I don't want to hear Ranger fans that he's better than Noah Dobson. There's no comparison to both of them. One's a completely different offensive and defensive player to the other. And one's like 6'6" and the other one's like 5'10". It's a huge difference. And I just think the comparison, it's ridiculous. Both of them are very young. If you ask me who I want the bigger, stronger guy. So you know who I'm going to pick. But I think Fox has been very impressive. I think there were certain players that have been impressive to me this year. Lafreniere, I know he's his rookie year. I'm not impressed with Lafreniere. Hopefully things are going to change his second year because we see what happened to Kaapo Kakko. Kaapo Kakko has had a very good season in his second year. He has. I have to give him credit. Maybe I give Quinn a little bit more credit because he's figured things out, and maybe Quinn has a lot to do with it. But I do believe that Lafreniere, you would hope, would figure things out his second year. He has not looked good. I don't want to hear it from any Ranger fan thinking, oh, he's a young player. This guy was the number one pick. And how many goals does Lafreniere have? 7 goals, 6 assists in 43 games, 13 points. Plus minus, which that's the thing that I really look at, is a -4. That means he's on the ice with a lot of negative goals. His defense is really not up there either. So that's alarming to me. I don't want to hear anybody. That's the number one pick in the draft. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, what about Jack Hughes? Jack Hughes is a different player. Alexis Lafreniere, people were comparing to Sidney Crosby. That's who they were comparing him to.
I don't know why they would. They don't even play the same position.
Well, he played for the same team Sidney Crosby did when he came into the NHL, and he scored as many goals and as many assists as Sidney Crosby did coming to the NHL. And a lot of Ranger fans, a.k.a. the Bees, comes out and says, you know what, we need another offensive player. We need to draft the best player on the board, when it made no sense. And I don't want to hear that they have one of the best defensive players in the draft. We don't know when he's going to come. I would have traded that pick, and I would have gotten whatever I possibly could have gotten to really solidify this defense, to be a better defense. I don't want to hear that they're ranked 13th or 14th in the league now. They have the best penalty-killing team in the NHL. To me, that doesn't matter. What matters is this is a talented team with a lot of talent, offensive talent. They're not scoring goals. They're not making the playoffs. They haven't even gotten into the round of the playoffs. This will be the second year in a row. I mean, last year they made it to the round robin against the Carolina Hurricanes. They couldn't win one game. So, as a Ranger fan, anybody that sits here and says, oh, I hate the Islanders. Well, okay, you hate the Islanders. That's fine. You hate the Islanders. Why do you hate them? Because they're winning? I'm an Islander fan. I'll be straight up honest, but I'm not even taking shots at the Rangers. I can't sit there and listen to a Ranger fan say that, hey, I'm going to hate on the Islanders because they're winning. That is the most ridiculous
I have no
statement.
issue with the Islanders.
Well, you don't, but you're one of very few Ranger fans that I listen to or I've heard that likes to just take a shot at the Islanders organization because, hey, you know what? It's the Islanders, and even though they've made the playoffs the last 3 years, they had one of the best records in the league the first year of Barry Trotz. They had the best defense in the league the last 2 years back-to-back. They're in the top 3 this year, and now Barry Trotz and this team could win the division and could be the best team coming out of the East. I'm interested to see what this team is going to do moving forward, the Rangers, and I think it's not going to be the coach who is going to settle the answers of where they are. I think understanding where this team is and who this team is when it comes to the face of the organization. And you say Kassoff for this kid that they drafted a couple of years ago in the draft. Do you love him? What do you love about him?
What I like about him is he has a lot of confidence with the puck. That's for one. He's comfortable skating already in this league. He's a big body guy, but he can also shrug off defensive players. That's one thing. That's something that you can take when coming into the league. If you could kind of find yourself in that sort of way and you're getting comfortable that way and you're confident when you have, like we saw last year with Kakko. Kakko has a big body, but he had no confidence shrugging off defensive players, and he had the body to do it. He would always give the puck away. Krasov doesn't have that. He's able to find his teammates really well. He's also quick with his eyes. He's able to quickly get the puck off to the open guy. That's something that sometimes you can teach it, but sometimes you gravitate to it quickly. He has confidence, and that's something that I think when at it,
I want to throw you a curveball before we go. Kaapo Kakko, even though I think he's looked a lot better this year, in 36 games he has 6 goals and 6 assists. Lafreniere has more points and more goals than Kaapo Kakko, which I did not know, which tells me one thing. You could bring up Kakko again, and I was wrong about this. This is not a good second season for Kaapo Kakko either. This is a guy that is a second pick in the first round, and everybody was expected, after seeing him in the World Championships, he was easily the best skater on the ice. Well, guess what, guys? It don't matter if he's the best player in the World Championships because he's not the best player in that draft class.
The thing about Kakko is he's also done much better in the sense of he's shooting the puck a lot more. It's just he's gotten a lot of tough breaks. Some of the shots that he's taken in some of these games, they've made some ridiculous saves on him. He's getting confident shooting the puck more. And I think when you're on a line with playing with Strome and Panarin, I think that's going to help him moving forward. I think that's something that Quinn sometimes doesn't put these young kids on the right lines in the right spots. Like when you're putting these guys with like Cody McLeod and you're putting them with crappy players. And Brett Howden, I don't think that's really going to help the confidence of Alexis Lafreniere when you're playing with fourth-line players. I think you have to put him in successful situations, and that's the knock on Quinn. He's not putting the young kids in successful situations.
Don't you have to earn your position on where you're going to move up and what line you're going to play?
And what the sad thing is,
he hasn't proven it.
Oliver
Wahlstrom.
Major game, and the thing of it is, Kakko and Lafreniere in games, they do have those games where they have earned it, and yet Quinn still sticks them on the fourth line.
Oliver Wahlstrom went from the third line to the second to the first.
Time. He does not give them the ice time that they need to be able to be successful.
That's an excuse for a Ranger fan.
No, I'm being dead serious, dude.
You have to earn your ice time. You got to earn it.
Lafreniere had a 3-game stretch where he scored a goal in 3 straight games, and he was only giving him 10 minutes of ice time on the fourth line.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going to give somebody confidence when you're doing what you're told to do and being successful, and yet you're still stuffing them on the fourth line? When Barry Trotz, when you're successful, he will give them the ice time when you're successful. When Quinn still sticks these guys on the fourth line because he wants to give Brett Howden and these players that he has a love affair with for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, the ice time that they don't deserve.
All right. So if you go every single game from top to bottom to newest, he has had more and more ice time because he's played better.
Ice time,
because he's played better. But here's the thing. Pittsburgh, he played 11 minutes. He had no points. The Islanders, in April 9th, he had 1 goal and 1 assist. He played 12 minutes and 58 seconds. The next day, he played against the Islanders. He had 1 plus minus and 12 minutes and 48 seconds. Same amount of time. 12 minutes on the ice as a rookie, that's a lot of minutes. Because an average NHL player, a great top end, if you're Patrick Kane, you're playing 28, 30 minutes. If you're not, a good overall player is playing between 18 and 22 minutes. So he's not going to play that much minutes when he's a rookie player, and he hasn't proven anything.
The point of this whole rebuild was we have to let these kids get ice time. We have to let them grow. We have to put them in situations for them to succeed. Go look at Brett Howden's ice time. It's the same amount of ice time as it is as Lafreniere's. That should not be happening.
Is Howden a rookie?
Guys' chances to succeed. No.
How long has he been in the league?
3 years too long.
3 years too long, but guess what? In Quinn's eyes, he fits his offense. He fits his team. That's
he needs to fix that. That's the problem. That's why the team's been the way it's been.
All right, so if Lafreniere played 16 minutes, you think he's going to score more goals? I don't know about that.
He's put on a better line in a better situation. I think he would be a much better player and a much more lucid
You got to earn your position on where you move. You don't put him in a position that he can't and he doesn't earn. I'm
sorry, but when you have 3 straight games of good play and you don't get on the ice,
it's one round of games. You played 36 games this year. You're averaging more than most rookies are playing this year. Do you want to go to the top rookies in the league? Let's go to the top rookies. Give me another
Minnesota's Kaprizov is the best rookie.
I'm going to go to Kaprizov, and let's see how many minutes a game. Okay, he's averaging 16:41. It's not a lot more. He's earned it. He's earned.
Out to 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh my God! He's a plus minus. You're making excuses again for the Rangers. This is what bothers me about you. He's as a plus minus of 5.
I'm not making excuses. I'm being honest with you. I've watched every game this year.
He has 16 goals. He has 16 goals and 19 assists. He's playing 3 more minutes than him.
Also, what line is he on, too, though? You forget what line is he on?
Second, I think.
Second line.
On the second line. Lafreniere's on the fourth line.
He's playing on the fourth line because he hasn't deserved to go to the second line. This guy is the best rookie in the league.
Well, there's no room for him to grow because Quinn has favorites. That's the problem.
So that's the excuse. Let's throw Quinn under the bus. That's the Ranger fan.
Quinn is a terrible in-game head coach. Are you kidding me? Dude, the guy changes more lines than I blink in 5 seconds. Are you kidding me?
That is a Ranger fan. He's playing 3 more minutes than Lafreniere. That's an excuse for any fan to come out and say, you know what, it's not playing enough.
That doesn't mean I'm not knowledgeable to not know what
I didn't say that you were. To say this, that if he played the same amount of minutes, he'd have the same amount of points or close to the same amount. It's crazy.
Oh, that's not even true at all, but they're not putting him in a situation to succeed.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Well, you put him with Panarin, he doesn't deserve to play with Panarin because Panarin doesn't deserve to play with himself because he hasn't played very well. So there we go.
Actually, Panarin's played very well last few games.
Very well a few games, but the whole season, that would be a no. And I don't want to hear 2 weeks. There we go again, finding a way to make an excuse for one.
And there we go again, you crapping on a team that I like.
I'm not crapping on anything. I'm trying to tell you, I try to throw you a curveball, and then you try to find something to make an excuse to get yourself out of. There's no excuse to this. Lafreniere was
I've watched every game this year.
Lafreniere is the number 1 draft pick. They should have traded out of that pick. They should have given Lafreniere up and figured out where their weaknesses were and tried to get players to fill in those weaknesses to make you a playoff contending team.
Maybe they would have, but nobody ever thought that would even be an option.
No, you know why? Because JD's head's so far up his ass, and he thinks,
John Davidson. No, the guy that built the Columbus Blue Jackets.
What did the Columbus Blue Jackets win?
They swept the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Have they won anything? That was my question.
A good-level team that's become a big hockey town.
Did they win?
No.
Did he win when he ran St. Louis?
No.
Okay.
But again, he was the builder.
There were certain pieces that were made at the trade deadline that made them a better team. St. Louis, the reason why they won the Stanley Cup is they decided to go with Craig Berube, something that great John Davidson didn't do. I get mad when I listen to the Beef and I talk to the Beef because the Beef, he hates the Islanders so much and he hates certain teams so much that he wants to throw somebody under the bus. But then he's lost to understand what he's talking about when he talks about it. I think there's certain things that bother me about the New York Islanders, and I'm not going to say it.
They're a well-run organization?
I didn't say they weren't a well-run organization. I'm saying that there are certain things that I disagree with what they do and how they do it, and that's a big problem on why they are in the position that they are when it comes to salary cap and problems that they're in and they put themselves in.
That was the old regime.
No, it wasn't. Lou Lamoriello brought Komarov in. He brought Varlamov in. He brought in those guys. To me, that's just another excuse. As an Islander guy and as an Islander fan, I'm not going to make excuses for Lou Lamoriello. There's goods and there's bads. I'm telling you right now, John Davidson had no thought of trading out of that pick, and that's why JD and Lafreniere, we're going to go back 10 years from now, and the Rangers, I don't care if they were drafting at number 1 or not, I'm going to say they made a mistake drafting Alexis Lafreniere because he did not fit what the Rangers needed at the time. When we come back, Speedy, what do we got?
The Bait Wars.
Here on the Weekend Crunch. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joshua Little J. Silverberg, and the great and utter mistake, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports E-Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Download the Worldwide Sports Radio app by going to www.srn on the iOS, which is Apple, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Well, I will say this has been a great show and a lot of curveballs thrown and obviously no strikes, a.k.a. the New York Yankees. But anyways, let's go into a very fabulous part of our show, Speedy.
The Bait Wars.
Here we go.
All right, fittingly, we'll start in the NFL this week. One notable player announced his retirement this week. We'll debate this one first. More dominant Patriots wide receiver, Wes Welker or the recently retired Julian Edelman?
Which one should I say for Jeff? That's the question.
Just make sure you just watch that burger show. That's all he'll care about.
I wanted to vomit after I watched it for 2 minutes. You know, it's interesting because you look at both of the numbers, and it's weird because Wes Welker, when you look at it, had the better numbers in the regular season. But, of course, the prime is the playoffs. That's the most experience, right? And that's the most important factor is what do you do in a big game? And I think Julian Edelman stood out a little bit more in the bigger games when it came to the big catches that he had. Both guys really flowed in the system very well. But for me, I go by the bigger games, the guy that won the championship. So I would go with Julian Edelman.
I think it's Wes Welker, 5-time Pro Bowl player. I don't know if he was an all-pro player, but this guy was the best.
He was.
I think he was as a special teamer, not as a wide receiver.
Okay.
This guy was the best all-around yearly catch machine in the NFL for almost 6 years, being with the Patriots and a little bit with the Broncos. He played with both Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Who can argue that he didn't play with two of the greatest, or if not the two greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game? I just think Wes Welker, what he did coming from Miami, being who he was coming from Miami and going to the New England Patriots and really figuring himself out and discovering himself and really helping out Tom Brady discover who he is as a player, I think it's Wes Welker.
All right, better pitcher, John Lackey or A.J. Burnett?
I'm going to go with John Lackey. The reason being is because I think Lackey was a little more consistent. With Burnett, you never knew what you got. Look, he had the big year with the Yankees, of course, and of course, a lot of people remember him with the Marlins, too. He actually succeeded as well in Pittsburgh. But for me, John Lackey, I think, was a little bit more of a consistent pitcher with the Angels, especially. He pitched for the Red Sox a little bit. I believe he was on that World Series team that won with the Red Sox. Was he not, Speedy?
He was one of them. I think 2013. Yeah.
What was it? The 07 team or was it?
I think it was
13?
2013. I think 07 he was still on the Angels.
That was the most overrated team that ever won a World Series.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He wasn't even good on that team. So
yeah, he was average.
But to me, I think John Lackey was a little more consistent. AJ Burnett was a head case at times. I'll go with John Lackey.
Oh, the more dominant pitcher was AJ Burnett. He had the better stuff. I think Lackey, being that he was an Anaheim Angel and then he went to the Red Sox, he really kind of squeaked himself in to winning a championship, but he was not good on that championship team. AJ Burnett was a big part of the Yankees winning that championship in 2009. I think the money that he got was a little bit overboard, but that's what you have to do to get your team where you wanted to go, especially winning all those championships in the 90s. I think the better guy, the better player, the better all-around stuff is AJ Burnett, so Johnny Boy is now Johnny Appleseed. So it's AJ.
All right, better goaltender, Cam Ward or Kari Lehtinen?
To me, Cam Ward was the guy that stood out a little bit more, especially when they won that Stanley Cup. Right? He was the goalie for the Stanley Cup team for the Hurricanes, I want to say, correct?
Yep.
Kari Lehtinen, he was a good goalie. Cam Ward was, but Cam Ward had some really sensational years with the Hurricanes, so I'll go with Cam Ward.
Cam Ward was the better goaltender when it comes to the big game and maybe a little bit of time, but Lehtinen is better. He's a better goaltender, I think.
But doesn't it give you an above-average number, kind of, when you look at it?
Well, if you look at a championship, you give it to Ward.
You can say with Corey Crawford, though. I mean, I guess it could be in the same scenario. Was Corey Crawford better than certain goalies?
Ward, because he's the champion, but I don't think he was the better all-around player. I think the fact that Lehtinen was a better yearly goaltender. Ward got really, really bad, and he got really, really bad fast after he won. So I asked Ward because he was the champion, but he had the better playoff run, but that's about it.
Better specialty shot, Steph Curry's three-pointer or Kevin Durant's mid-range?
Oh, I mean, come on. Steph Curry, he's turned the NBA into a worse sport because of this whole stupid shot that he made. Now everybody's trying to shoot it from midcourt now. I mean, that's like the whole new thing. It's impressive that he does it. But the thing of it is this. Kevin Durant, that mid-range shot, he does on a consistent basis, and he's done it since he was at Texas. He's one of the best shooters. You could even make the case the best shooter in the NBA. So I think Kevin Durant's been way more consistent. Clearly, you could see it as well when Kevin Durant leaves the Warriors. What happens? Steph Curry doesn't do as well, right? So to me, I go with Kevin Durant.
Well, he's saying shot, not the better player. I think Steph Curry changed the game. His three-point shot changed the game, and the mid-range shot has always been around. I mean, Michael Jordan was a great mid-range shooter.
But it's always been consistent with Durant, though.
Yeah,
but I understand what you're saying with Steph and that shot. It was
Steph has been consistent, too. I mean, he's a career 48% three-point shooter. I mean, how consistent do you have to be?
I'm just a Steph Curry hater, man.
I don't like him either. But
we know.
I don't like him either. But if you're going to ask me what changed the game and who has a better shot, it's Steph Curry. I mean, he is the shooter. He's the best three-point shooter to ever play the game. He changed the game by himself, even though not for the better, but for his better it is, and that's why he's all. Well,
maybe we don't know. Maybe Durant can do that too. We just don't know it.
Durant's done. He's going to win another championship or two if wherever he goes, but he's done. His career is, he's 32, 33 years old. Steph Curry too. I mean, they've made their points on who they are as players. So I'm going to go with good old Steffi Weffy and his Killer Bears.
Errol throws another curveball. I didn't think he would be the one to argue for Steph Curry, but here we are.
By the way, the word that everybody's got to find is odor.
All right. Better active outside rusher. This is their whole career, not just currently right now. Justin Houston or Ryan Kerrigan?
I would have said Kerrigan. The problem with Kerrigan is he had so many injuries, a ton of concussions and everything like that. Justin Houston made an impact in Kansas City. Obviously, they didn't win the Super Bowl with him, but he still was one of the better pass rushers. And then even when he's gone to Indianapolis, he still has made somewhat of an impact. That defense is really good. With Kerrigan, you see it. His stats have gone down every single year, and it's due to injuries. And his injuries started really early on when he came out of Purdue. I mean, he was really good when he came into the league, but to me, Justin Houston has been the way more consistent player. So I'll go with Justin Houston.
I'm going to go with Justin Houston, too. And like I said, the word is odor, so I don't want to hear from anybody saying, I didn't hear the bid. Well, okay. I'm going to go with Justin Houston, being the consistent player that he was with Kansas City all those years, and then really going over to Indianapolis and really helping out with some of the young players. I think he's going to go back to Indianapolis, but I think he's been the better all-around player. He's a Hall of Famer.
He's still a pretty decent player.
Justin Houston's a Hall of Famer. To me, he's been one of the best pass rushers in the league for the last 10 years. So I'm going to go with him just because of his consistency. I think Kerrigan's a good player. I'm watching the football team. He was good. He's been good, but I think he has deficiencies, and he fell off. When he fell off, he fell off.
It's just a lot of injuries he had with the concussions, and he had some weird injuries that he had too.
All right, one more. Better first baseman, Fred McGriff or Carlos Delgado?
I know where you're going.
You don't know where I'm going. I'm going to throw you a curveball. I'm going to say Fred McGriff. Only because, see, Delgado was pure power. Now, don't get me wrong. In my opinion, Carlos Delgado had one of the sweetest swings in baseball. He really did with the flick of the wrist that he did, and the ball would go 400 feet. It was incredible. But Fred McGriff was the all-around better first baseman. He was a really good defensive first baseman. He was a guy that would always hit average-wise, but he also hit a lot of home runs.
493.
He was great. He was really good with Atlanta. Obviously, when he went to Tampa with the expansion, everything just tailed off at that
284 career average, by the way.
See, that's pretty good. And I bet you it's higher than Delgado's. So I'm going to go Fred McGriff. So you don't know where I'm going with this one.
It's Fred McGriff. I think Fred McGriff is a Hall of Famer. Carlos Delgado won't sniff a Hall of Fame even selection. I think he was the better defensive player. I think he was the better offensive player. Fred McGriff, I think, had 500 home runs or close to it.
493, yeah.
493. I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I think he's been ripped out of the position. I think the MLB writers didn't really give him the respect that he deserved.
They didn't give a lot of guys respect.
Well, I know the MLB writers ever give anyone the respect they deserve.
No, they don't. It's a shame.
Well, with Jeff Kent, and there's a couple of players, but...
A couple? That's an understatement.
Yeah, one of them who you don't give any respect, it's called Albert Bell, who belongs there.
Oh, here we go again. Oh, here we go again.
Albert Bell should be there. I think he got robbed. I mean, how many players you know with... Three or four seasons for 150 RBIs. I mean, come on, man.
Is Albert Bell going to be the new Kevin Bacon game of the baseball debates? Every debate comes back to Albert Bell somehow.
You know who should get one? Andrew Jones is a guy that got screwed.
He's fat and he did steroids.
So? A lot of guys do steroids.
He's fat and he did steroids.
What does that change anything?
All right, I guess we have to do Andrew Jones and Albert Bell next week.
And I hated Andrew Jones. He was a great player, though.
Anyways... I could say that's the end of Debate Wars. I'm a little lost in some of the things that were said, but I will say Fred McGriff never got the respect that he once deserved as a first baseman, as Atlanta. He actually played for the Yankees for a little bit. I think he was drafted by the Yankees, if I'm not mistaken.
I know Delgado had a lot of home runs, though. His was in the 4-something, I believe, too.
He did not play for the Yankees. I'm trying to see where he actually got drafted.
It would be Toronto.
Yeah, no, you're right. He signed with the Yankees in 81 amateur draft.
Look at that. I was right. I am a wonderful man over there. Yeah, but he never played for him.
Never played for the Yankees.
But he was drafted by the Yankees. So there you go. I was right. I'm going to pat myself on the back. Here you go. Thank you, Errol. Good job. Anyways, when we come back, Speedy, what do we got?
Crunch time.
Here on the Weekend Crunch. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joshua Silverberg. On the board, as always, Mr. Tidy-Whitey man himself, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time, only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network. Brought to you by New York Sports E-Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Download the Worldwide Sports Radio app by going to iOS, WWSRN, or Android. Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Please, guys, if you haven't checked out our website, go and check out the website. It's a beautiful website. All you have to do to check out the website is go to worldwidesportsradio.com. We have a trivia game called the New York Minute Trivia Game where you can win prizes. You have a minute to answer 7 questions. It is specially made for the fans on our network. Check it out. I mean, how many times do I have to mention it? I mean, if it's that hard for you guys, I can spell it out for you if you want. I don't think you need me to spell it. I'm not the best speller anyway. So if you want me to throw you a tongue twister, or maybe if you want Speedy to throw you a tongue, you can reach out to him.
I am not taking out somebody's tongue and throwing it.
Well, you could throw your tongue, or you could do other things with it. Maybe.
Yeah, if I got rid of my own tongue, then I would, 1, bleed for a while, and 2, I wouldn't be able to taste anything. So why would that be worthless?
Well, again, you might have special powers. I don't know. I mean, if
I had special powers, I would be much more evolved than I am.
Well, you're evolved as well. I think you're just a very unique individual, and I wouldn't say on the good note on that. But anyways,
that was my point.
Well, your points are definitely valid. Anyways, what do we got?
Crunch time!
It's time for Crunch Time.
Read the time. Gotta see the pitch.
All right, we'll start this week in baseball. We've had 2 no-hitters in the span of the last couple of days or so. So buy or sell, we will see another no-hitter within the next month.
I'm going to sell that. perfect games are very, very rare. No hitters are a big accomplishment too, but I just think, look, they come once in a very blue moon. I mean, they actually had been. I don't know how long the last one was before this year.
There was one last year. Alec Mills had one.
There's my point. I mean, they come from the biggest no-name guys on the planet too when they happen.
That's usually the case anyway, though.
It is, and so for me, I'm definitely going to sell that one.
I'm selling it. There's no way. I think it was very unique that two guys did it in about a week and a half, or really in 1 week. Incredible. I don't think it will, but I would like to throw the curveball and say that it will, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I would say no. And that would be a sell.
Buy or sell. Back-to-back shutouts for Igor Shesterkin. He will get another one this season.
I'll buy it only because of who they're playing. I mean, you're playing the New Jersey Devils, you have a shot. I mean, the Devils are such a mess right now. That team, I don't know where they're going. I mean, look, they have nice players, but they hired the wrong coach. So I think when you have that, and they're playing the Buffalo Sabres, I believe, 2 more times. So I guess when you have that opportunity, it helps. When you're hot, you're hot. And that's just it. So I'll buy it.
I'm going to sell it. I don't think he's going to have another shutout. I think he's played very, very, very well. I've been very impressed with Shesterkin since he's come back. He's been impressive. I think he's a good young goaltender for the Rangers. I don't think the goaltending is their problem. It's their defense. So I'm going to sell it that he's not going to get another shutout this year, but he's been very, very good the last couple of games. So very impressive.
All right, buy or sell. This very popular rumor of Julian Edelman to Tampa will happen.
Sell the knee injury. There's absolutely no way. When you have a knee injury like that and you're getting the surgery and everything like that, there's just no way. He's not going to be fully capable of being the player he once was, and that's going to hinder him. I think he's very happy at ease with his career, as he should be. Dare say, borderline Hall of Famer. So at that point, I mean, what's left to do and what's left to prove? Then again, Rob Gronkowski came back, but he didn't have the injury that Julian Edelman had, so I'm going to sell that.
If there's any injuries from Tampa, and there could be, I'm not going to trust that Godwin's going to stay healthy. If this knee replacement doesn't come to fruition and he decides to sit and wait until the season's over to see if anything could happen, I think Edelman could come back. Matter of fact, I'm going to bet more yes to no. I believe that Edelman will step on a football field again, and if he does, it's going to be with Tampa. So I'm going to buy it.
Buy or sell. Jamal Murray's season-ending injury will prevent Nikola Jokic from winning MVP.
Sell. I think that's going to help him even more win the MVP because that's going to make him more important to the team. They say most valuable player. So therefore, Jokic is the most valuable player and the most important player to the Denver Nuggets. Now, Jamal Murray is no slouch. Let's be real here. At the same time, though, this is going to make his presence felt even more. His numbers are going to go higher because he's going to have the ball in his hands even more now. So I'm going to buy that.
I'm going to buy it. I think the fact that what Joker is and what the Joker has proven this year is he's been the best player in the NBA. Murray is a big loss. I still think that they can win a round, maybe even go further than that. This is a team that has as many good players on the bench as they do in their lineup. I think they're good all around. I think they're the best all-around team in basketball. And just remember they have a guy named Michael Porter on their team. So,
love Michael Porter.
So I'm going to buy that.
All right, buy or sell. Either the Blues or the Bruins will miss the playoffs completely. The Bruins have a 6-point lead right now on Philly with 13 games left. The Blues only have a 1-point lead on the Coyotes right now.
I'm going to sell it. I think the Bruins getting Taylor Hall is actually going to help them in the standings. I wouldn't be shocked if they even got past Pittsburgh. St. Louis is the interesting. I can't see the Coyotes keeping up what they're doing. I think St. Louis, they're way too talented to be where they are right now. I think that actually the hinder for them is Jordan Binnington. He won a Stanley Cup, and he's been a disaster ever since then. He's so overrated. It's ridiculous. And they gave him an egregious contract extension.
Not a nice guy either. When I met him at the Stanley Cup Finals, I thought he was bigger than what he is. I think he was nasty.
I mean, the thing of it is,
talk to women, he wouldn't talk to guys.
But the weird thing, too, is when you even add to that is they gave him a contract extension for absolutely no reason because he wasn't even playing well, and yet they gave him one anyway. It made no sense at all. The Blues are way too talented to be where they are right now, so I'm going to sell that. I think both teams will make the playoffs. I'd be surprised.
I don't think they're both going to make the playoffs. As a matter of fact, I see both of them not make the playoffs than make the playoffs. I think St. Louis has the best chance.
Oh, I think Boston definitely is getting in with it.
I don't. Even though they're playing.
Look at the numbers. Taylor Hall since he's joined the team, I think already has 2 or 3 goals already.
That's fine.
He has so much depth.
Okay, they have 2 goals, and I understand that, and he's hot right now. And what happens when he gets into that hole again? I'm going to say
how many games
hole is going to be a hole again? I mean, seriously, I don't.
So how many games are left in the season, though? 13? And you look at the depth that the Boston Bruins have, and they have playoff experience getting into it and finishing the job. albeit not being in the Stanley Cup. Dude, they're way too talented to not get
Sal.
this postseason. They're the best line in hockey with Bergeron and Marchand.
I'm going to sell. I think one is not making it or both are not making it.
It's funny,
I threw
but
you a slider, not a curveball.
buy or sell. Jadeveon Clowney with the Cleveland Browns this season will have 7 or more sacks.
I'm going to sell it only because he's never been able to stay healthy. Until he proves to me that he can stay healthy for a full season, then that's the only way I could buy it. You know he's going to miss a few games. I mean, it's just inevitable. He does it every single season. Can he have a great career season? I think he could even have a career year this year playing behind Myles Garrett. The problem is he's never been able to stay on the field. And I don't think he has the motor to want to be the best player and what he can be on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm going to sell that.
I am going to buy it. I think Jadeveon Clowney with the Browns, with Myles Garrett on the other side, I think this is a very good defense. I think the depth that they have, they're going to give him every chance to be successful in this defense. I think he fits the best on this team than he ever did on any of the teams that he played for. He played for the Titans last year. He didn't fit with the Titans. Their defense was crap. He came from the Texans. The Texans haven't been good since J.J. Watt had dirty underwear. So I think Jadeveon Clowney has been a bust ever since he's come into the league. I think his best year was with Seattle, and he's no longer with them. So
the problem is he's never been able to stay healthy.
Yeah.
He's never had a full healthy season, and until he has that, he's not going to get the sack numbers everybody thinks he can get. He certainly can get 7 and more, but when has he ever been able to prove that he can stay on the field? That's why he constantly gets these one-year contracts.
I'm going to buy it. I think he's going to have a good season. I think he has a lot to prove, and I think this Browns team is as good or even better than we think.
Buy or sell. Either DeMarcus Cousins or Andre Drummond will sign with their LA team long term.
I'll buy it. I think Drummond is going to be the one that stays long term. I think he's going to fit in really well with the Lakers. I think they'll find a way to make it work with the cap. I think whether it's LeBron taking a pay cut, something like that, they'll find a way. LeBron always will take a pay cut when it comes to keeping superstars. He's done it forever. That's always been his case. He did it with Miami. He did it in Cleveland with Love and the Kyrie. As many superstars around him, he'll take as little of money as possible because of his endorsement deals and all that stuff. He doesn't care. He has all the money in the world. So that's why Drummond will stay, so I'm going to buy that.
I'm going to sell it. There's no way Drummond's staying. There's no way they're going to be able to afford him. Drummond is one of the top 3 centers in the league, and that's going to show when you're going out there and you're trying to work the market. This guy's never gotten a big contract, ever. He's gotten contracts, but not contracts where worth about $100 million. 80,
but that's why he
$70
can
million.
get that with the Lakers. If
he's not getting that with. First of all, LeBron just signed a big time contract. He can't take.
And he'll restructure it again to keep Drummond.
I don't think in the NBA you can restructure your contract.
No, I thought you could. I think after a certain point, I think you definitely.
He just signed his contract.
I always thought that. I saw players always restructuring their contract.
No, I don't think you can. Not in basketball. In football, you can. I don't think in basketball. Once your contract is in, your contract is in. The only way you can restructure, if all 3 of you are up for a contract, that's the only way you can restructure it. That's what LeBron did with Miami did. With all 3 of them became free agents, and that's what they did. Wade and LeBron took less and gave more to Bosh because of the endorsements that they have. There's no way they can do that. So, no, Andre Drummond is not staying with the Lakers. I see Andre Drummond going somewhere else. DeMarcus Cousins will sign back with the Clippers. He's not getting a lot of money. Guy can't stay healthy. So, yeah, he'll go back with the Clippers if he wants to stay there. Or he can go and play with the Knicks over there with Kentucky. Everybody with Kentucky. So he might go over there. I can see John Wall going there. I can see Booker going there. I think every single great Kentucky player is probably going to go there. So that has a better chance of happening with him and the Clippers. That's it.
All right, one more. Buy or sell. We've seen both of them get a goal already with the Islanders. Either Travis Zajac or Kyle Palmieri will get their first assist as an Islander within the next 3 games.
I'm going to buy it. I think they're both too talented. They're both just trying to fit in and get their feet wet with this team, right? That's what it comes down to. That's essentially what it is. They're trying to fit in and fit with the system and fit with the team. Again, I think Palmieri is too talented. Look, he's playing on the line with Barzal. He should be getting an assist, and I can't see him why. And Zajac's been a good fit for the depth-wise for the Islanders, so I'm going to buy it.
I'm going to buy it. Palmieri's too talented. Zajac is a good leader. I think the problem with the Islanders right now is not those two. I'm just thinking where the lines are and where Barry Trotz trusts these lines to be as the season progresses and as the playoffs are right around the corner. I think once they figure it out, I think Palmieri fits perfectly with Barzal. I think there's just no chemistry yet. I think when they figure that out, watch out. I think that's a very fast line and a dangerous line. So I'm very intrigued on what this line could be moving forward for the New York Islanders. That's it for our show. Wow. Like I said, I've been very excited on the movement of what our network is. And I want to give a shout out to iRadio USA. I want to give a shout out to all the guys and all the fans that listen to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We are who we are, and it's been a fantastic year for our network. Even with the COVID-19, I just think it's been just very, very fun ride. And there's a lot of people to thank, and there's a lot of people that, you wish they would be more involved with all the great things that we have done to get where we are today. And I'd like to thank 103.9. I'd like to thank Pat and John and Bruce. And obviously Mike, the producer, all the people over here at 103.9. They've been very gracious. They've been great. And I really appreciate everything that they've done for the network. And we're happy to be here and happy to be the consistent sports voices of their network. So thank you. Joshua, do you have anything to say before I let you swim away?
I want to thank 103.9, of course, for letting us on again, as always, and to the fans as well for listening and lending us your ears.
Lend me your ears.
Some baseball games in the next few weeks.
There he is. He's a real interesting man. When it comes to the Mets, just go to Josh. If you want to feel good about your team, especially the Mets, go to Josh. If you want the Ranger fans to really believe that they're going to make the playoffs, go to Josh.
No, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, actually. So
I love it. Anyways, that's it for our show. We'll be back next week. Listen to the Sports Loudmouths on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. on iRadio USA or the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'm working on getting our shows planted on our website. So all you got to do is open up a website now and you can watch our shows. So that's another way of, really tuning into our shows. And I think it would be great for people to do that. So that's something that I've been waiting for and really looking forward to doing. And I think we're moving to that opportunity. Very excited. So thank you to all the fans that really stand up and realize what we're trying to do for sports media here in New York, Long Island, and around the country, because we have shows all over the world. So thank you. And we'll be back next week giving you the shows that just are that damn good. So we will be back next week. Until then, this is Errol Marks, Speedy Petey, and Mr. Joshua Little J. Silverberg saying good night. And we'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.